I want all eyes up. All right. So you guys know I've talked all week about how important this is to me to be able to be a part of this and to be invited, right, by this amazing gentleman here, time and time again to come here because what we as a staff, as a school, we believe in this, right? We absolutely believe in this. And I'm going to let Mark Soto talk to you about it. So guys, give him a hand, right?
I cannot tell you how honored we are to have Serra Gardena in this event. Scotty, I want to say it's been 8 times. I mean, since we started this event back in 2013, this coach was the first one to raise his hand when we weren't even known. Where schools around the area weren't even looking at us and giving us a time of day because who is this coach that wants to raise money for military veterans? And Scott Altenberg was the one that raised his hand and goes, Coach, I believe in you. I'm going to give you a chance. And Coach, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. Guys, how many of you have a friend, a neighbor, a loved one, a father that served in the military? How many of you? All of us. All of us. Guys, that is the reason why we do this event. I want to break down to you the heart of this event so you understand why your coaches, why your school, while you are playing in this event, it's important that you know the heart behind it. In 2010, I was a football coach just like all these other coaches. I had 2 boys that entered the military right out of high school. One went early enlistment. He joined when he was 17 years old. He wasn't even done with his senior year. But they wanted to go and fight. They saw what happened to those towers and they said, Dad, we want to go serve. I did everything I could to stop them. Nothing worked. Right out of high school, one went to the Marines, one went to the U.S. Army. We saw the worst deployments. We saw friends killed. We saw friends wounded. But in 2010, after multiple deployments by my sons, is when we suffered the worst deployment I want to tell you about. See, back then, when my Marine son would go on a tour or on a deployment, we would bring them beer. And we'd set up beer around the Camp Pendleton. We'd invite all their friends because we knew they were going to war. And we'd let them pop open beer and say, go get some. But this one was different. My boy never told me why he was going to Afghanistan or where he was going. And on this one, he comes over and he goes, Dad, let's take a walk. And I'm like, son, you want to leave all your friends over here partying and drinking? You want to leave your friends? You're going to go get some. He goes, Dad, I haven't told you yet where we're going. So he takes me for a walk. And he says, Dad, we're going to a place in the Helmand province called Sangin in Afghanistan. Do yourself a favor. Don't Google it. What do you think I did, guys? Get on my phone, start Googling. Oh, wait. This Sangin in Afghanistan? This Sangin where 200 Marines lost their lives? This Sangin where over 2,000 were wounded in the last 4 years? Most of them by losing their leg? Son, this is the one you're going to? Yes, Dad. That's where we're going. So crying, I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe my son's going there. 2 weeks later, they left. My son said when they were landing in the FOB, that's a forward operating base, which is basically where they were going to live for the 8 months they were going to be there. While they were landing in the FOB, their helicopters, they were hearing pinging on the skin of the helicopters. They were getting shot at while they were landing in their FOB. He looked out the window and he saw they had white sheets surrounding their FOB. Now, when you and I think of white sheets, what do you think of? Surrender, right? No, not the Taliban. The Taliban puts those white sheets on the ground and in black spray paint, they spray paint death to the Americans, death to the infidels. That's you and I, guys. That's you and I. The first patrol leaves a few days later, and as it's leaving the FOB, they're all ready to get some. And that first patrol leaves, and guess what happened? Boom! Oh my God, what was that sound? The sound was so loud and so powerful, it shook their base over a mile away. So they're on the Marines over in the FOB and they're going, are you okay? Guys, you're okay. Radio silence. Oh my God, something happened to the Marines. Let's load up. Let's go, right? They load up their Humvees. They open up the gates. They head out there. When they arrive at the scene, they're under enemy sniper fire. The Humvee that first patrol left with there was a bomb placed on the road. And as they passed over it, the Taliban was over there, pressed the button. The Humvee was lifted off the ground, twisted like a corkscrew. 4 Marines were instantly killed. This is where it gets crazy, guys. There's a call that comes to a neighbor of mine at home. The call comes to my neighbor, and he finds out that something's going on next door at his house. And he calls me up. He goes, Coach, your son's a Marine, right? I go, yes, he is. Hey, listen, something's happening next door at my neighbor's house, and it doesn't sound good. Their family has a Marine son. You might want to call them and see how they're doing. So I call him. Patty, Tom, is everything okay? I heard something happen. They were already on their way to Dover Air Force Base to retrieve the body of their son. They told me that the man that was killed, their son, Victor Dew, played football for me. I was blown away. Patty, Tom, is there anything I could do to help you? Hey, Mark, can you help us with the media? Can you help us just control things are so crazy? She was crying on the phone. They got the body, they brought it home. And then afterwards, as we were talking and getting to know each other a little better, they said, Coach, will you eulogize our son? What? You want me to eulogize your son? I want you to eulogize your son. I was like, guys, it's the greatest honor I could ever do in my whole life. And I did. I eulogized their son. I saw their flag-draped coffin. I saw him lowered into the ground. I heard taps. And I watched him get buried. A week later, my son calls me in Afghanistan. Remember, he's still at war. He calls me from Afghanistan. He goes, Coach, or Dad, on the radio. It's, Dad. I go, son, are you okay? He goes, Dad, my colonel tells me a coach eulogized Victor Dew. Was that you, Dad? Was that you? I said, yeah, son, that was me. He goes, Dad, I was there. I couldn't. Changed my life. Changed my life. At that time in my life, I was like, what can I do to give back? What can I do to help these men and women that are dying for our freedom? What can I do? And that's when I came up with the idea of the Honor Bowl, which since then, when Scotty first came into this event in 2013, we're known as the finest and greatest high school football showcase in America. It started by that episode. Guys, by the spirit of your athleticism, by what you guys bring, by what your fans bring, by what your coaches bring, by what your family brings today, that's your way and their way of giving back to our military veterans. By the innocence of your athleticism, you guys are giving back. It is an honor to have Serra Gardena in this event. We know we traveled a long way for this, but I can't thank you enough. Now, I have some friends I want to introduce you to, and one of them is a 3rd Battalion 5th Marine that actually served with my son in Afghanistan. Let's give it up for First Sergeant Freddy Torres.
It's a tremendous honor and privilege to be able to stand in front of you today and talk a little bit about what Mark talked about, what you guys, how do we bring that together, and a little bit about myself, a little about story when I was on that deployment. It's like Coach Soto said, my name is Freddy Torres. I'm a first sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. I joined in 2006. Right out of high school, 18 years old, I was an athlete just like you. Traveling up and down, going game to game. But this is different. This is different what you guys do. You're playing for a purpose. You're serving back, giving back to those that have paved the way for us. So Coach talked about 3-5, the battalion, right out of Camp Pendleton. In 2010, I was part of that battalion when we went to Afghanistan. He talked about October 2010. I'm going to fast forward a couple months. December 2010. And share a quick story on that. December 30th, 2010, a squad of Marines, about 20 of them, went out on a patrol. They went out on their first mission in a new area. They went out for about 4 or 5 hours. They gathered intelligence, information, talked to the local nationals, and made their way back to the patrol base, their safe area. On their way back in, the back of the patrol, one of the Marines in the back stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device, a roadside bomb. That bomb was about 20 pounds big, and it was made to completely destroy and kill every single one of those 20 Marines on that patrol that day. Thankfully, only about 4 pounds detonated. That Marine that stepped on it shattered his foot, and he's fine. They got him out of there, got him out of Afghanistan, he recovered. Now, there was still about 20 or so pounds of HME, the homemade explosive, out there. So the Marines made the decision that we're going to go back out there, put a stick of demolition down, and blow the rest of it so the Taliban could use it against them. So the sergeant, the squad leader, made a decision. It's only going to be a 4-man team going out there. The sergeant said, I will place the stick on the floor. I will be the one that detonates it. So they go back out. As he's getting ready to place it, the 3 Marines in front of him, to the east, the Taliban opens up. They ambush it. They open up fire. They start shooting at him. The Taliban use these holes. They call them murder holes. They would make holes on the wall and put their barrels down it and just spray left and right, hoping that they would hit a Marine. That was their tactic. So they do that. As the sergeant's about to get ready to pull the string, the Taliban opens up and starts engaging. The sergeant gets shot twice in the legs. The 3 Marines in front of him run around a corner, take cover, and start suppressing back. The sergeant runs in the direction of the Taliban, weapon up, his rifle up, and starts shooting at those positions. He runs for about 20 meters, little divot, waist-high wall, to take cover and start engaging back. When he got to that divot, when he got behind that wall, he fell on his back, tried to get up, and he realized his whole lower body, his camouflage uniform, was filled in red. Realized he had been shot. One of the Marines that was out on the other corner that took cover sprinted to him under fire. The Taliban still suppressing this whole time. He runs in, slides in, grabs his scissors, cuts his pants off. Blood was gushing out. His femoral artery had been shot. He has less than 2 minutes before he completely bleeds out. He puts his fingers in the hole, he puts his palm down, applies gauze, applies the tourniquet, straps it down, and temporarily controls the bleeding. Stops the bleeding for a second. Grabs the radio, calls back to the patrol base, and he says, I need the quick reaction force to come out here with a stretcher. My sergeant is dying. He's bleeding out. I need somebody to help me. Taliban is still engaging at this time. A couple minutes pass, they get a stretcher out, the quick reaction force comes out, they put the sergeant on the stretcher and they're getting ready to carry him. On the count of 3, all guns blazing, everyone with everything, open up on the Taliban so I can get my sergeant out. 1, 2, 3. They pick him up, everything opens up, and they start carrying him back. The sergeant laying on the stretcher looks up, picks up his hand, and he sees on one of the corners another sergeant carrying him out, his best friend. He reaches out for his hand and he grabs him. They hold hands. And he says these last words. Tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. He squeezes one more time and he says, make sure you tell my mom I love her, and tell my boys I'm sorry. Puts his hand down and falls. They get that sergeant out of there, get him in a truck, get him out of Afghanistan, goes to Germany, and actually comes here to San Diego to recover at one of the hospitals. That sergeant made it. Let me tell you the other half of that story. When he got here, the doctors within a week told him, there's a lot of nerve damage, there's too much vascular surgery that needs to happen, your leg's getting amputated, it's not worth keeping it. There's going to be too much pain to live with it. By the way, your career's over, you're getting medically retired, you're not going to be able to stick around the Marine Corps and serve with a prosthetic leg and all the injuries you have. So the sergeant told the doctor, Doc, it's not my time. Give me some time. Let me recover before we pull the plug on cutting off the leg. The doctor gave him a little bit of time to see how that recovery was going to turn out. It turned out from 2 to 3 physical therapies a week to 2 to 3 physical therapies a day. 3 to 4 times a week to every single day, 7 days a week, grinding every single day in the gym, hitting those weights, hitting those runs, hitting the pool, every single day. Because that sergeant took the challenge and he knew that April, when the battalion came back to the United States, he wanted to be there standing medically cleared and ready to continue to serve and hug every single one of his Marines. I'll tell you right now, August or April of 2011, when 3-5 got back, they landed at March Air Force Base in Riverside. I did that. I stood at the bottom of that staircase when that plane landed, and I hugged every single one of my squad members that saved my life. 3 months prior to that, the doctors were telling me my leg was getting amputated, that my career was over. 3 months forward, I took the challenge, I faced adversity, and here I stand, 2024, able to share that story with you. And I don't stand here to share that story to put myself up here. I stand up here telling you, it took me a long time to finally share that story. My Marines would come up to me and ask me, how did you get your Purple Heart? Can you tell us that story? Can you give us that word or case study? For the longest time, I shied away from it because I had guilt and I had shame and I didn't feel right sharing it. I felt guilty that I left my squad out there for 3.5 months on their own. I felt shame that I made a decision that got me injured. 2 years ago, God put me on my knees and he said, it's time to share this story, not as a word or case study, but as a testimony for those that are going through challenges, facing adversity, those that are struggling. Because you're going to struggle in life. You're going to struggle on the football field with the pain, with the injury, with the missed call, with the play call wrong. It doesn't matter. You're going to struggle at home, in a family, in a relationship, a situation, fill in the blank. How you attack that, how you face that adversity, that's what defines you. I could have chosen the easy route of taking the amputated leg, medically retired for the rest of my life, making that paycheck, never have to worry about it again. But that's not who I was. I took that challenge, and I took it head on, and that's why I get to stand here today, 14 years later, 13 years later, and share that story with you. 2 years ago, when God put me on my knees and told me it's time to share this story, a year ago, last year, this time when I did this at the Honorable, I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. God gave me the gift to minister to the youth, and that's what I do now. Every single week, I minister to high schoolers. Every single week, I minister to young adults. And every single week, I minister in a men's Bible study group, and I get to lead that. Although it took 14 years for that to happen, that was the gift God gave me. And I'm grateful for it every single day. When you walk out here, you have 25 banners that you're going to walk through in a tunnel. And I thought I was going to be number 26 out there. I thought my face was going to be one of them that didn't make it home. But you get the opportunity to go out there and show your talent and give back by playing in this football game. So again, whatever you go through, challenges, adversity, failures, mistakes, that doesn't define you. How you come back from it, that's what defines you. And I get to stand up here grateful that I get to share this story with you. Good luck tonight. Good luck the rest of the season. Thank you for what you do. God bless you. Thank you.
Sgt Freddy Torres. Some other friends I want to introduce you to. This is Chief Pisano, right here, Navy Chief Pisano. This is Rick Sutter, Director of Operations. If you guys have been seeing any of the Instagram posts with your face on it, this is the guy that created them. But more importantly, Patty, come here, please. This is my dear friend. This is my friend, Patty Schumacher. She's a Gold Star mom. Her son was killed in battle. The story I told you about Victor Dew, this is mom. It hits home, guys. It hits home. This is what you're playing for today. You're playing for her son. You got it? Yes, sir. Thank you, Pat. Thank you. All right, guys, some housekeeping. Scotty, who is the young man that's going to lead the team carrying the flag through the tunnel?
Right here.
To come through the tunnel, there's going to be one of us that's going to hand you the flag. I'll be there with the mic, getting ready to introduce you, right? You come forward with me, and then I'll announce your team through the tunnel, okay? Thank you. Thank you. We have these decals, right? Please remember, each helmet gets one, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
my
sir.
friends? Okay. And then after the game, we will be doing post-game awards. One of you will be getting the character award. All right, the character award is the man that exhibited the most spirit, the most sportsmanship out there. You get that award. One of you will. The media in attendance, there's Max Preps here, there's a lot of news media here. We all come together, we choose who is going to be the MVP of the game. One of you will be getting that award. And then at the end of that, at the end of all that, we will be giving this man the 2024 championship trophy, right? Hands up. All right, the Marines of 3-5 got a saying, and it's get some. So when I say 3-5, you yell get some. 3-5! Get some!